There it goes. Woo! Hey everyone, welcome to Houston. We have a problem. Episode 205. Here we are. So, there you go. It's nighttime. The internet says excellent. We'll see how long that lasts. The news of the day sounds like Credit Suisse about to go under. The Swiss central bank been losing money like crazy. My guess is trying to keep Credit Suisse alive. The Fed has announced that they are having an emergency meeting. Who knows what that's about? They did an emergency meeting in March of 2008 where they invited all the banks to come except Bear Stearns. And then basically they hashed out an agreement with JP Morgan to eat Bear Stearns, and they just sacrificed them. Even though Bear Stearns had like $18 billion in cash on hand, they got eaten alive by their competitors and they were sacrificed. I wonder if someone's getting sacrificed. We know Citigroup having a hard time, Wells Fargo having a hard time, Bank of America having a hard time. My guess is probably all the other investment banks are also having hard times. Very curious. Barclays got a $361 million fine for selling $17.7 billion in securities they didn't have. So if you want to steal $17.7 billion, just save $361 million of that to pay your fine later. So it's just the cost of doing business. What monkey was other stuff? Oh yeah, the monkey cam died again, so there's no monkey cam right now. El Gato. And what else do I have, monkey? I don't know. Well, it's Friday, dude. My guess is we might not see any Chinese IPOs. You know, those ARDS IPOs coming through. They indefinitely postponed Lyson. It sounds like LRE is indefinitely postponed. I think the SEC is cracking down on the underwriters of these guys and making sure that they've got shares ahead of time and not launching the IPOs without shares so that they do an insta-squeeze. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. That's what I got. So, after dark, a blink. Boom. All right, everybody. Let's get into it. It's Friday night. It's late. It's 142 of you dweebs not rocking and rolling on your Friday night. Or I guess some of you, it's your Saturday morning or afternoon. Novaplex, hello. Marcella, can you suggest a channel to teach options put calls? Yes. Gherkin, Pickle Financial, does a great job talking about put option calls. He gets much more technical than I ever do. He talks about delta and theta and all the Greeks involved and how you pick your price points and do things like that. I am much more, I think this go up, I buy. I think this go down, I buy. And that's how I work. Much more caveman in my options plays. Unpaid overtime. Why do we bury Monday? Or who do we bury Monday? And when do we get to call our moms? Who do we bury Monday? I'm wondering. The meeting is on the 3rd. That's Monday, right? Some people are saying that it's going to be a forced pivot by the bank, by the Fed, that they're going to go back to quantitative easing. I don't know. They already told everyone, like, hey, no, we are going to crash this market. We're going to drive inflation down. Turkey has done a reverse. They're cutting interest rates and they're printing and they're trying to do quantitative easing and they've got the highest inflation in the world. So probably not a great idea to do right now. My gut feeling, and I'm totally open to being wrong about this, but my gut feeling is they're going to look at the membership, the banks that make up the Fed, and go, which one of you is about to die? Because we're going to put you on the altar and just go, chunk, and spill your blood everywhere so that we can lap it all up and then have our sacrifice for the time being. That'd be my guess. What should happen is they should take all these giant big banks, they should break them up into thousands of smaller banks and do that. We shouldn't have these big banks. We shouldn't have banks with trillions of dollars in assets. They should not exist. So get rid of them. Make them small. Make them small and nimble. Don sees a shade him. My father was a fire security dude at Bear Stearns. My parents still get quarterly stock info. It's a zombie stock, less than a penny, owned by a bank. Yeah. Bear Stearns and Lehman's keep zombifying and like rising from the dead 1,000% or whatever and then quietly going back down again. They haven't existed for 13, 14 years. I mean, aren't we on the anniversary of when Lehman went down? When did Lehman die? It was like September 28th. Lehman Brothers death. When did they die? 2008 they died. September 15th. Okay. So they died September 15th. We're 2 weeks past the anniversary of Lehman Brothers going under. Yeah. This I have a feeling that this whole crash that we're in might be delayed by about 4 to 6 weeks compared to the time scale of 2008. But someone's going down. Lots of them probably going down. Well, hurry up, Mr. White, you gotta pee. You had half an hour to go pee. Paratarian, thoughts on the DART satellite asteroid impact significance? I mean, if we can see these things far enough in advance, fantastic. It's a great way to move something out of the way. I think the problem is that some of the most dangerous comets we don't see coming. They might be coming from the direction of the sun, so we just can't see it. They can be not have a very high albedo, so they get lost in space up there, not reflecting back enough. Like the one that blew up over Russia in 2013. If that had not blown up 20 miles in the atmosphere, but blown up like a mile in the atmosphere, it would have killed 1 million people. It was the power of like a megaton nuclear blast. And it would have wiped out that city. We never saw it coming. We saw a different one. Like the day before, like, oh, this guy just blew past the moon. That's crazy. And then, boom! A 150-foot wide asteroid blows up over Russia on everyone's dash cam and breaks windows 20 miles away. That's crazy. That's crazy. All right. Sean Marcos, how contagious do you think the UK... I can't read. How contagious do you think the UK situation to US is to the US, I assume? I mean, it's a global financial system. So there are banks in the UK that work in the US, banks in the US that work in the UK, and vice versa, all over the world. These guys got their fingers in all these pies. Great Britain is, financially speaking, hits above its weight class because it is a banking nation. Like it allows people from all over the world to hide their money in the UK, and the privacy laws allow them to do that. So there's more money in the banks than there are citizens in the UK who can pay to bail the banks out. If that makes sense. So the only way the banks get bailed out is basically by devaluing the currency, which is what we're seeing, and making it easier to pay this stuff off. So, if your loan is in British pounds, you can easily swap US dollars for British pounds and get more British pounds than you would have before and pay off those loans. At the same time, the interest rates are screaming, which means the assets under management of all these British pension funds and hedge funds and everything else are shrinking a whole bunch. And that's why we saw pension funds almost get margin called when they don't play with the margin. I don't know if the UK is necessarily contagious, like a contagion that needs to be like cordoned off to keep the rest of the world from having problems, because I think everyone else is having problems. Norway, essentially the richest country in the world per capita, their sovereign wealth fund has taken a huge hit. The Saudi sovereign wealth fund has taken a huge hit. The Swedish bank announced losses for the first time. Swedish central bank announced losses for the first time ever. They formed in 1907, and they've never had a loss, even through the 97 crisis. That was like the Scandinavian / South American / Asian crisis. They didn't have any problems. I think it's just a sign that everybody has way too much leverage in derivatives. No one actually has the money to back it up. And it's just that the UK happens to have a really crappy government who sort of met with hedge funds. Hedge funds said, you know what? Push it over the ledge. I shorted our currency. And the Tories went, all right, shove. And hedge funds made a quick buck off of shorting the currency at the expense of everybody else. So UK just has shittier leaders. that's why they're showing the hand first compared to everyone else. Where was I? Don C. Shadim, if I pay the $50, can you print a sign saying I, Houston, ambassador of science and stonks, now like and support Elon Musk? Whatever you want up there, as long as it doesn't get me kicked off of YouTube, throw it up there. Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll spend the entire show saying Elon sucks. But yeah. J-Dog, Mariners still tied 1-1. Well, the Mariners game's happening right now. Did Baltimore lose? Baltimore had to lose, right, for them to get their playoff berth? MLB wild card standings. Bum, 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 bum. Give it to me. Give it to me. Come on. Download. You give me the wild card. You can do it. Do it. It's not downloading. It froze. Everything froze. All right, there we go. Okay, Google Chrome. I froze. Everything's frozen. What the hell? Why is my computer... What? Oh, there it goes. All right. Oh, what the hell? Why, computer? Why are you being such a jerk? Wildcard teams. Okay. Seattle moved up a spot. We are... So Baltimore has to lose one more game and they're eliminated. Tampa Bay and Toronto have guaranteed their spot, but Seattle hasn't? That doesn't make any sense. Because Seattle has a better record than Tampa Bay. That's because we played one less game. Okay. All right. Oh. Okay. Yeah, Baltimore won, so they're still on the cusp. Just have to lose one more, and that's it. Well, of course, now the internet's saying it doesn't work anymore. Whatever. All right. Well, nothing works anymore. Life just doesn't work. Meow meow. Why do the English yell at each other in Parliament? It seems staged. Because that's the only good thing about Parliament. No, there's other good things. Like I wish the U.S. government had a question hour. Question hour is fantastic. Some member of the executive comes in with a giant folder. It could be the head of transportation or defense or whatever. They have this big giant folder, thunk, and then they get yelled at for an hour, and they've got to quickly go through the folder, find their talking points, the stats and data, and yell stuff back. And it's absolutely brilliant. I love question hour. I wish the United States government did that. I wish that we had the opportunity to have Congress people embarrass themselves, as well as members of the executive. Every once in a while, like the prime minister has to go to question hour and get yelled at. Why can't the president go and get yelled at by members of Congress? Kind of humbles you a little bit to be like, oh, puppycock. Your program is a bunch of horse water. And then they yell at each other. It's great. I love it. There should be more yelling at people. Also, the Brits are much better interviewers than anyone in America. Like, if you watch an interview with a British news person, they'll ask a question. The person being interviewed will try to dodge that question, and then the British interviewer will say, "Hey, you dodged my question. try answering it this time. This is the question again. And they'll keep at it. Whereas you watch, Chuck Todd or some lame-o that's American, they'll ask a question. The person being interviewed is like, well, that's a great question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to completely deflect and talk about this other thing over here. Chuck Todd goes, oh. Never says, hey, bozo, you never answered my question. Why don't you try answering it this time? Then U.S. interviewers have no idea how to do a follow-up or be hard-hitting. They just let it slide every single time, and it is disgusting. I think we need to be meaner. We need to be much meaner to elected officials. You should have to put up with crap to be an elected official, and you should be like, hey, I'm a piece of shit. Treat me like one so that I remain honest, and you can see through my crap. So that's my personal belief. How much the Dart crash cost? I have no idea. What was the Dart program? $324.5 million. Paid for by the Planetary Society. And they paid for, I guess, a big bulk of it. It was launched in 2005 at a cost of $110 million. And, yeah, okay. So, in 2005, when it got launched, it was $110 million, but it's ballooned since then. Jason Blackwell, 3 weeks later, I still have the garbanzo bean in my face joke. Rather run on my head. Kudos, rogue jokester, whoever you are. It's like the jam and jelly joke. Carlos Rayo Cruz, Houston, I'm a Mexican. And we sometimes eat beans for every meal, including breakfast. Black or pinto beans. They're delicious and nutritious. Baked beans can suck it. Again, Mexican beans are way happier than British beans. But it is a lunch or dinner food, not a breakfast food. I just can't do beans for breakfast. I need just absolutely sweet pastries for breakfast or savory eggs. That's what I need. And Rollingbay Houston, backstory on Netflix doc. One of your listeners is a producer. Oh, who recommended you to the original producer of the doc. Mid-production, the guy was replaced and they switched directions. That's why they stopped talking to me. Now I know that they're like, hey, we're going to do a whole interview with you and talk about this stuff. And then they stopped talking to me. So that's why. Well, thank you, Anna. Which one of you is it who either got canned or left? Guitar Stuff. Good evening, Houston. What do you make of the unscheduled Fed meeting on for Friday that's totally not an emergency meeting? I'm leaning towards they're going to sacrifice somebody personally. The other rumors are that we're going to do a pivot and go back to quantitative easing, which will make inflation go nuts. So until the U.S. can somehow bring, 30 million manufacturing jobs back to the country with people that don't exist, we're going to be facing lots of problems with supply chain and fuel, all sorts of stuff. So, yeah. Hoshi Gaming, Houston, if you were a student, what ways would you use to cheat exams with the knowledge you have as a teacher? This is entertainment purposes only. Some teachers are totally boring and they just use the same exams every year. And you just find somebody who did that. I change mine up, so my exams are different every year. I rewrite them. Also write my own homework and make that different every year so that can't be posted online. Because if you make your homework from the book, the answers are there. Answers are out there. Somebody made a whole website, answered every single question, posted it, and they're getting ad revenue off of that. Or they're charging you $1 for it. Trying to think. So when I took Calculus 3, I think it was Calculus 3, the professor was a very brilliant woman from Bulgaria who when she was in Bulgaria, women could not get PhDs. So she had like 50 master's degrees and was an expert in all these different fields. Absolutely brilliant scientist and mathematician. And she was at a conference for something, and somebody from Japan was like, you have all these master's degrees, why don't you have a PhD? Like, you've done all this work, you've written all these dissertations, theses. And she's like, oh, Bulgaria won't give me one. I'm not allowed to have one. And so then the University of Tokyo was like, we're giving you a PhD. So they gave her a PhD for all of her work she had done. And that was her ticket out of Bulgaria. She ended up getting working in the US, working for the National Science Foundation and teaching math and doing research at my college. And I was a math guy, and I didn't really feel the need to work very hard. I didn't. Like, you teach it to me, I go, cool, take the test, I'm done. I didn't hang out like needing tutoring help. She made all the homework optional. So like if you need extra time, she'd give you some homework problems to do and you could do them, but it weren't graded. It was only the tests. And she complained a lot about how I didn't work very hard. And I was like, well, what do I have to work at? Like, dude, I got a perfect score on my math section at SATs. I'm a math dude. I don't need to sit there and study. Just taught it to me. I'm done. I got it. And so take the test, turned it in. My roommate would get like 85% and wouldn't have a single correct answer on his test. And I'd get like 22%, but everything I wrote was correct. And I'm like, what the hell? She's like, well, he works hard. I see him all the time in the math lab being tutored. And I was like, but he's dumb. Like, he has to work really hard to get this wrong. And I don't. And so she ended up straight up failing me in Calculus 3. I'd take it again. And she was the only teacher who taught it. So what I discovered was that she didn't change her tests. And so I didn't go to class that second term. I had to retake Calculus 3. I would show up only on the test day, take the test, turn it in without my name on it. And then I'd show up the next day after they're all graded, and she'd be like, I've got all these tests. And she'd hand them out, and she's like, this one has no name on it. I'm like, oh, it's mine. It'd be like 105% because I got the extra credit question. And I think I averaged like 103 or 104% on the 5 tests in the final throughout the semester. And then she gave me a B. And those are the only things that graded. Attendance wasn't graded. Homework wasn't graded. It was just those 5 tests. And I got a B in that class. The thing is that I went to her and I was like, look, this is from the previous quarter when he failed me. This is from this quarter. They're exactly the same. The same work done, the same answers, the same questions you had. The 2 tests are exactly the same. What the fuck? And she tried taking the test from me. Like, give that to me. You can't have that. And I ended up having getting a fight with my math professor, and I stormed out of there. And it just so happened that the head of the department was having a meeting with the math tutors in the hallway, and they heard the whole thing. And he filed a grievance on my behalf against her, and they had to delete the quarter that she failed me and then give me an A. And it was all because, it was that hazing mentality. Like, she had it really, really rough. And I totally get it. Like, she was in Bulgaria. Bulgaria sucked during the communist era. She had a hard life. And she hated the fact that I didn't struggle when it came to that math. And she wanted me to put in the type of effort she had to do under that communist system. And I just didn't. And that's what she really hated. So that's yeah. So I don't think it was necessarily cheating, but it kind of showed that the system was broken in that way. But don't cheat. Just do if you gotta take the extra time to do the work, take the extra time to do the work. If you don't, rock and roll, move on, enjoy your time. That's my lesson out of that. Matthew Hickman, will AMC and GME still have a chance to squeeze? Yeah, they still have to cover and close all their positions. They haven't done that stuff yet. They've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. So now we need that big institution to get pushed off the cliff, like what the British government did with their economy, and let's get it. Let's do it. Walt Chavaria, Houston, we lost Trey, but we still got you. Thank you for everything. Pura vida. Cool. I think Trey got burnt out. I think He had a lot of people screaming and yelling at him. Because, I mean, my audience is, what, 30th the size of his? So, a lot of negative things can break through when you have a very large audience. And I am so grateful to the people that I tapped as mods, because you guys have done such a wonderful job keeping like the hate to a simmer. Every once in a while, let someone through that kind of makes me go, arr! But it's good for the show, I think. It's good to challenge me. Always challenge me. I like being challenged. It's just that we don't need like mean, spiteful, hateful people in here. That doesn't benefit anybody. So I appreciate, like, you mods have done a great job. And when MOAS happens and we're all filthy rich, we're gonna have to go like have an island adventure somewhere. Where am I? Guitar stuff. Good evening, Houston. What do you make? Oh, that's unscheduled. Yeah, we talked about already. Hoshi Gaming, we did that one. Chickpea joke is a staple joke. Where have you been? Paratarian, Houston. How much do you think I could get for a kidney? Inflation is getting kidney kind of expensive, lol. 50K for a kidney? How much were they? I don't know. I mean, you're competing with people in the third world probably selling them for like a third of that. 40, 50K for a kidney? How much? All right. How much is a black market kidney? Let's just see what Google list puts me on. All right, organ broker, the guy said the kidney for transaction takes his cut. He needs to pay for travel, surgery, medical supplies. If you look the other way, most people get 1 to 10,000 for their kidney. What? How much bypass seeker? Wait, this one says kidneys are 262,000. That's from 2014. Turning a kidney black market. That's from 2017, between 50 and 60,000. That's in Pakistan. Organ trafficking prices, kidney, that's 150,000. Okay. So the top Google hit says 1 to 10,000, and then all the other hits from 2014 on are saying between $60,000 and $200,000. So, and this 2009 one says 160,000. So that might just be what the broker gets, maybe not you. So, and enough to buy a house in a place no one wants to live. That's not too shabby. Drew, crazy how gas was like $2.89 in my house earlier this week and then went to $3.29 out of nowhere. Yeah, prices are going back up again, which is good for MMTLP. We need the prices to be sky high for that. Piano student Semper. How does one short a currency? Also, shout out to my homie Lost Waves. The truth is out there. You short a currency by borrowing it. So you take out a huge loan in that currency. Then you go to the currency market and you sell it for a stronger currency, like US dollars. So you'd like borrow, let's say, 100 million British pounds, and you'd sell that for 130 million US dollars. And then the price of British pounds dropped down to almost parity with US dollars. So then you buy back those 100 million British pounds with 100 million US dollars, and you pocket the 30 to 50 million dollars in profit that you off of that. And then so you basically use arbitrage to take care of that. So that's how you short a currency. And that sounds like that's what the British hedge funds did with like the wink and a nod from the Tory government. Lost Way trying to give me I Have African news. Send me the article about the Eye of Africa Lost Waves. And you got a spot for me. Somewhere north, somewhere east. Okay. It's very far north, very far east. Wait, 2840, 66. Is that where the Tsar bomb was? Let's look it up. Shaboink. Oh, I think we're still in Lebanon here. No, they were somewhere in the middle of, I think we're in Russia. Where are we? Really far north. we're in Finland. We're on the edge of Finland. Okay. So we are some town in Finland. Battle of Salla. Come on, give it to me. Lapland misplaced population of 3,000. I want the Battle of Salla. I don't want the town of Salla. Give me the Battle of Salla. Battle of Salla. That's what I want. Fought between Finnish and Soviet troops near Salla, northern Finland. The Finnish troops managed to stop the advance just east of Kamijärvi. During the last days of February 1940, the Finnish troops were replaced with Swedish, Norwegian, and Danish volunteers from the Stridsgruppen. The Soviet Union had decided to conquer Finland, relying in part on the information provided by Finnish communists, detailed intelligence, Finnish infrastructure, and prepared in summer 1939 a 200-page book. The battle. Okay, here we go. Looks like they're doing a pincer move. Broke through Finnish defenses in a river. Next 2 months fought to a stalemate. Damn. Scandinavian volunteers suffered the most intensive casualties of the day. 10 killed, 30 wounded. I don't know where else to go from there, but Finnish counterattack, Soviet withdrawals. Looks like the Finns just came, like, hit them right on the roads, fought them back. The battle, the differences between, like, what the Finns did to the Russians did to the Finns in all these battles, incredible. Like, Russia, 4,000 dead, Finns, 650 dead. Like, they ran out of room to bury all the Russians in Finland. That's, I mean, you had dudes like Simo Heha, who, one guy, I think it's like 700 sniper kills, another 200 or 300 with a submachine gun. Just one guy, right? The greatest sniper warrior of all time. And he took out as many people as an entire, like, legion. It's crazy. And the Russians, they finally caught him. They shot him in the head and dragged him back to a camp. And they're like, all right, we finally got Simo Heha. Oh, it's now free for Russia to invade, do everything. Simo Heha, like, woke up because they didn't kill him. They thought he was dead. Woke up, killed 2 guys, and went home. And had, like, a fucked up job for the rest of his life. Right, monkey butt? Right. Simo Heha was a badass. He lived until 2002. Which is pretty awesome. I don't understand. Why isn't there a Simo Heha, like, action movie? And the dude was like, Russia invaded? He, like, put down his meal, put on his jacket and his iron sight rifle, went out and just slaughtered 700 Russians. Just crazy. Just crazy. Right, monkey? Right? Get up there. Be a dog on a bed. That's what you should do. There you go. See? Isn't that great? Little butt to slap. Okay. Julianne. Why don't power companies create hydrogen with excess power from solar and wind turbines to store for creating power during peak usage? Why don't they, Julianne? There's a lot of things they can do to store wind and solar power in essentially giant batteries. Was it Julio? Julio was you sent me, or was it Iggy? That might have been Jersey. Shit. There's like four people who send me just a plethora of news articles every day that takes me 2 hours to go through them all. There's different battery systems. There's some cool ones being built, I think, in Finland, where they take these silos of sand and they run these, like, hot water pipes through the sand, and they heat the sand up in a really, really insulated tube. And they get the sand to like 700-800 degrees Celsius. And then when the sun disappears for the winter, they can heat everyone's water in the whole town for the entire winter off the hot sand that's sitting in there. So it reduces the amount of electricity need to be produced in the winter to, keep people's houses warm and to heat their water. So we can do lots of cool things like that. So why don't we have, like, a hydrolysis system, electrohydrolysis system, where we are separating hydrogen from oxygen and storing the hydrogen, and then we can combine it again in some sort of combustion engine and get the energy back. They do a system in California now where if they got excess water, well, they haven't had excess water for a while, but when they do have excess water, they pump and too much electricity, they pump the water uphill into a reservoir. So they pump it up, takes the energy, put it up there, and then it stores in a reservoir like a battery, and then run it back through a turbine when they need the energy. We should be doing more systems like this because we can't just keep building fossil fuel plants. We have to do something else and make the energy system much more efficient. Texas could use it. Texas is closed off from the grid. They've got lots of solar and wind, and then they end up having to like drop their power prices to zero during windy and sunny times. And then nobody makes money, and no one has any incentive in Texas to improve the infrastructure, and it's just a desperate, horrible system. Science Me Houston, what's the coolest thing you learn in a physics degree? What's the hardest stuff to grapple with? Modern mechanics were especially hard for me. Psi.psi stuff, I'm trying to like map what an atom looks like. I did really bad in that. That was probably the hardest. Was just quantum mechanics in general was just hard. Plus, my professor wasn't that good. He basically just read his grad school notes, and it didn't seem like he understood it that much. He just kind of word for word would read his own notes from 25 years ago. It wasn't the best way to learn. What's the coolest thing? Building a laser was really cool. Like taking all the constituent parts and building a laser was awesome. We did a laser. We used a lab-grown ruby. So we had to lathe a lab-grown ruby. It was pretty big. I mean, well, not quite as big as a finger, but pretty big. And you fit that into a tube with a light at one end, and a 50% mirror at that end, and a 50% mirror at the other end. And basically, half the light just bounces back and forth and gets polarized before it finally escapes the 50% mirror. And then by then you have a polarized beam that comes out. It was pretty simple, but also like, oh, that's how you make a red laser. That was really cool. And it led to us then overclocking lasers. So when working up on the mountain in Hawaii, I did star tours and things as a job. We had green laser pointers, and they're like 5 milliwatt, things like that. And you could overclock, you take off some resistors and get them up pretty high, and they could like pop balloons and stuff. And then we discovered the blue lasers, or some of them were kind of violet, but the Blu-ray DVDs, like those lasers are like 1 watt or higher, and they're designed to like burn things. And so we'd take the diodes out of that and pop them into our laser pointers. And then eventually we bought an old plotter from Boeing Surplus. If you guys know what an ink plotter is, they were like, for blueprints, you basically had maybe a couple different colored pens, and it was on this horizontal axis they would go, and you just pop a pen down, and the paper would fire back and forth while the pen went these different directions, would draw whatever you needed. And they got replaced with like the big inkjet and bubble jet printers later. So we took the old ink plotter and we replaced the pen with a overclocked blue laser pointer, or laser Blu-ray laser, and we made a laser cutter. It could cut through plywood. It could do all sorts of crazy stuff. And because the laser is just going back and forth while whatever we're feeding through this thing is also going back and forth the other way, we eventually like burned this giant line in the garage on the floor because the laser would cut through and just evaporate the floor, the concrete floor. That was pretty cool. Cheap. I mean, we got the laser, the ink plotter for like $30. The Blu-ray diode is probably another $30 to buy like a Blu-ray player and rip that sucker out. And then that was almost it. Like all you had to do was take an old CAD program and program whatever you wanted in. It could cut whatever you want out of that thing, like a little mini laser CNC machine. It's pretty cool. I also thought we might burn the house down with that thing. Um, Nil 21981. Houston apparently GME has 0 shares left to bottom and a sky high cost to borrow. Yeah, someone said the after hours the cost to borrow went to almost 1,000% on GME. So, yeah, boy. Does this mean they will settle the dividend shares? That's a good question. Because what happened to those dividend shares? We've asked that before and no one ever gave us an answer. So GameStop makes 230 million dividend shares, right? And they give those to ComputerShare. ComputerShare divvies them out to their members. And the ComputerShare takes those and gives them the DTCC. And the DTCC receives those 200 million or so shares. And they go, all right, everybody who's a member of the DTCC, I want you to process this as a forward split. So everyone takes the shares they have and go, shblink, 4. Where did the shares go that the DTCC was supposed to dole out? Where are they? Does the DTCC still have them? Did they give them to the international brokers? What did they do with all of them? Because they said forward split, so no one received shares from the DTCC. Where are they? Were they being lent out? What is going on, man? So I don't know. That's a good question. That's a very good question. Very good question, Neil. BOFH, where did you see that? Saw 30,000 shares available to borrow on Fidelity, and that's just retail borrowing pool. Institutions have lending pools available as well. I just saw a blurb. This was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon about the cost of borrow on GME shot to like 980 something %. So doesn't seem like they have too many shares available if that's the case. Well, Rose, totally puzzled about how and why they're attacking ape shares. What do you think their goal is? To drive it down to 0 to get everyone to go freak out and dump their ape shares. That's what they're trying. That's always that's their game plan for everything, is that they short. They send all the trades through dark pools, so we don't get a recording of how much it costs. Only the cheap bids and asks that get settled. They do so through the lit market. Everything else gets sent through the dark pools. It's shady. That's what they're doing. They're just being as shady as they can. Pronto, I watched the entire first season of Ron Chang International Student after recommendation. It was awesome, and your friend is a great actor. Isn't he? He's so great. I met him, met Patch at the Banff Media Festival in 2015. He was working as a producer at the time for some production company called like Coconut Pete or something out of Australia. He's just a good dude. And then he was living and doing some shows in Canada for a little while, and then went back to Australia, and he's done like television news and all sorts of things. He's just a cool Patch May. He's a cool dude. Goat, Last Samurai tonight. Sure. Well, sure, Goat. We'll do Last Samurai. Okay. All right. So that means at 11:30, Last Samurai. Okay. All right. Where are we? Where was I? Isaiah Kresnik. Nice. Just popped some open a raspberry Belgian lambic and loaded a bowl. Time to chill. Well, there you go. Got your what's the name of the Belgian yeast? Some Samoyces. Monkey should help me with that. You've brewed Belgian beer before, right? Blah, 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 blah. Science Me Houston, can they push ape to zero if they just do an insane amount of naked shorts all at once? Or is zero impossible as long as enough retail investors hold on? That's what I'm wondering, because supposedly ape is a T+0, so you shouldn't be able to sell naked because that's to settle that day. But it seems like they are just not settling. And they're just going, yeah, I'm not going to cover that. I'm done. And DTCC just goes, okay. Why? Because they're all in cahoots committing crimes, man. That's why. So they're going to try. I mean, it's below $3 right now, which is just crazy. But you know, how good can you drive the price down on something when all the players who are working to drive the price down, at any moment there can be a domino effect that just kills them all because the economy is about to just boom in a puff of smoke. I think they're just trying to get what they can while they can, and then, you know, damn the rest, I guess. Reset of the chat. Sorry, let me scroll back up. I did get everybody right. Whoa. Goat's making it rain. Thank you, buddy. Okay. Where was my... I already lost my spot. I totally lost my spot in the chat here. Okay, was that... there you go. Daddy0357. Houston, what's going on with S1 MMTLP? Do you think the SEC is intentionally delaying as long as possible? I think, what was it? Most S1s are approved in 45 days, something like that. And it was at the 45-day point from the last time they had done it that they got the, hey, do this again, like do your homework over, and I'll correct it later. So we might be looking at another 45 days for them to approve the S1, which got turned in, what was it, like September 6th or something, which would put it at end of October. Let's 35 days from September 6th. October 21st. So that's Saturday, so maybe October 23rd, somewhere around there. That week, we might get word, unless they do it slightly sooner. So looks like we're waiting. Waiting. Hopefully get fuel prices go to like a majillion, trillion, quadrillion dollars by then. So that'd be great. Yeah. So, yeah. Mariners home run. Fantastic. There we go. Walk off the ninth. They're in the postseason. Woo! Way to go, Mariners. About time. My friend's been posting pictures of what they looked like the last time the Mariners went to the postseason, what they look like today. Jesus Christ, we've aged so much. 21 years. Like, the Mariners playoff drought is old enough to go drink. That's how long it's been. Get Forge. Good morning, Houston. I think you mentioned it in a stream or two ago, but do you know when No Labs will have an options chain? That too, I think, is a 45-day date, isn't it? Didn't they put in their prospectus that the options chain was expected to be generated about 45 days after launch? And they launched on the 13th of September. So that would put them basically November. Maybe that first week of November for them. Or was it 14th? Somewhere in there is when they launched on New York Stock Exchange. Good morning from Denmark. Well, good morning, or good evening, night, good night from Seattle. Get For's rumor on Monday meeting was that is that it's in response to China stating that they're going to drop the dollar. That's another thing. China said that they are going to tell their banks to sell off their dollars and buy the yuan. And here's the thing, is that China does not have a fiat currency. Their currency is directly tied to the US dollar. And the central bank comes out and says, it's this many Chinese yuans to this many US dollars, and that's it. That's what we trade at. There's no bartering in the system. So we are looking at what? Like, is China going to try and move to actually become a fiat currency? What are they going to play their currency off of? How are they going to measure how much their currency is worth if they aren't using US dollars? China's entire economy is built upon importing US dollars. So if they get rid of the US dollars, then what? I mean, they might be trying to become their own global currency, but they aren't going to become a standard global currency unless they let it be traded at what people perceive its value to be. For a long time, it was said that China was keeping its currency value artificially low to be able to attract manufacturers and keep their export market alive. But I'm very curious as to what China will tie their currency to, especially if the Chinese economy itself is in free fall. They won't admit it, but shipping costs, because no one's shipping. Their real estate market no longer exists, and that's 1/3 of their economy. They can't pay back any of their bonds across multiple sectors. They're facing defaults pretty much everywhere. The population is shrinking. So in 30 years, the population of China is going to be half of what it is today, which means if you're paying top dollar at all for anything that's a constrained supply, like apartment or a house, you buy it now, there's going to be one or two more available in 30 years by the time your mortgage is done. So you're going to be losing money on any investment you make on things that are currently short in supply. What's the goal here, China? What's the goal, man? Also, there's still those rumors that Xi is under house arrest, and they've made no attempt to have him wander around and be like, I'm not under house arrest. So that's weird. It's very weird. Eric Voot, is it true if they push AMC under $5, they lose all collateral on their short and long positions AMC? There's a haircut rule that you can't, if you have a long position in a stock and that stock shares below $5, it can't count towards the assets under management that you use as collateral for margin. So I think the goal is if they drive the price down below $5, the long positions all of a sudden are facing margin issues and they'll be forced to sell off all their AMC and buy higher valued securities. And that could cause a further crash of the price. So maybe that's what they're trying to drive to, is get the overall price down below $5. But because of AMC1, which is AMC and APE together, the price right now is whatever AMC is plus whatever AMC ape is, and so I'm not sure how that adds in the end. You might have to drop both of them down to 250 or something if that's the case. I got David H in New Zealand. Got a couple of Kiwis in here. And a Rulnick, no word from Uncle in Florida yet. Uh-oh. No cell service or power in this area. Trying to be patient. Ooh. That's no me gusta. You said he was it Fort Myer where he was? Fort Myer looked like it got just ravaged. So hopefully he's able to get to a shelter or something inland. Scott Pollan, volatility in Forex markets, government central bank intervention, Libor to SOFR transition is rough. Yeah. I'm at a wedding in Vermont and have and have a sleepy. Lots of positivity and happiness. Please talk about cool stuff and alchemy and snacks. I'll try, man. Fried Tater Explosion, aloha from Wahoo. Hope everyone's having a wonderful evening. Thank you. Michael Harrow, Houston, did you talk to Bird Lady about her geology questions? I offered. She said, I'll send you a DM, and then I haven't heard from her. So she may have found somebody who's actually an expert in hydrocarbons to look at it. I know enough to be dangerous. That's about it. Wooden puppet, you're a dweeb. I'm doing leather and copper crafting. That's pretty dweeby. Survivor Edge Sunshine Act meeting has always been postponed. It's been postponed every month since April-ish 2021 to present. BOFH, I really hope Bank of America doesn't go under quite yet. I just got paid and I have rent due the first. Well, I mean, if they go under, then just Jamie Dimon's going to go in and buy all their assets for pennies, and you'll just be a Chase Manhattan customer after that. MS Houston, many want us to believe October will bounce. You? No. There may be a day or two where it goes, woohoo! But this economy is going to implode. We're on death watch right now. There has not been a single piece of good news about the economy for weeks. There just isn't. Interest rates are high. Exports and imports crashing. Fuel costs too high. Food costs too high. Inflation too high. Banks are all teetering. There's no good news. Nuclear war could happen pretty much any day now. I mean, heck, Ukraine just applied for NATO membership because Russia just stole 4 of their oblasts. So, there's nothing to go like, oh, I think things are looking up. It's not happening, man. It's not happening at all. Julianne, never been happier to have all my money in a credit union. There you go. Kyle Cooper, Houston, you're a baseball fan, and you know about this whole market thing. So be honest, did we hit a 3-pointer with GME? Touchdown. Goal. I think so. We're just waiting now. We're just waiting and waiting and waiting for like those hedge funds to die. That's our goal. We need them to die, and then all that liability passes on to the next stage, and the next stage has to close. It just has to close. Just be done with it. Because they'll be taking bailouts from the government at that point. Aaron Salentine, Houston, did you see what happened to AVCT? Trading stopped at the end of the day. Are we finally having a buyout? Microsoft announced it's coming October 4th. My guess is RS the first, then buyout. AVCT is doing a 14-to-1 reverse split. So each share of AVCT right now trading like 30 cents to become $4.50, somewhere around there. So that's what AVCT is doing. So what they did was they issued out all these shares to their debt holders. So they have no more debt. So they gave them all these shares. They basically turned them into convertible bonds, give them all these shares. And then they announced that they're doing a reverse split. So all those shares that are 30 cents are going to become some, combine, become something worth several dollars. That's all I know, man. It's going to be worth maybe $4.50 when it's said and done. Anna Rolnick, an old friend of mine, lost his job as executive director of risk change management at UBS in Zurich. 12 plus years. Is UBS in trouble too? I think every bank is in trouble. I think they're all in trouble. All of them have dipped their little fingers into all these short hedge funds too much and given them all way too much money that aren't good for. I mean, anytime you're giving somebody a loan that's worth 30 times what they're worth, you're playing a huge risky game that they will never have your money again, especially if they're shorting and playing options, right? You give somebody a loan for options, they make a bad bet, that money's just gone. It's just gone. Poof. That's it. They can try and roll over, but then it costs more money to do that. And I think that these banks did not learn the lessons of '08 and are just so over leveraged, lending out again and again and again to people who will never pay them. So, Raider Bo, dollar crash incoming like other currencies? Eventually. I mean, it's right now people are going to the US dollar because it's crashing less than other currencies. Therefore, it's making the dollar seem stronger as a result. But it's just other currencies are crashing harder than ours because our Federal Reserve is being mean and raising interest rates really, really fast. It's the fastest. We're raising interest rates at a faster rate than any time in our history. So even when we were doing like the whip inflation now stuff, and when Reagan came into office and interest rates ended up shooting up to like 20-something%, they still didn't rise as fast as they're rising now. We're almost like asymptotic how fast they're raising interest rates, which is why thinking a 10% mortgage rate sometime in December is probably not too outside the norm. Westwood Houston, you got the sniffles? Do I? I don't know. Your long COVID symptoms gone? Got taste buds working? Taste buds working? I didn't really have any long-term symptoms. That Paxlovid stuff worked pretty darn well. Felt like I was dying at the time, but worked pretty well. BOFH, reading up on the banking history of the City of London is a trip and a half. Yeah, they've got a lot of privacy laws in London that seem really sketchy. All right, where am I at time? 10:30. Okay. Well, good morning. Can't we live and wake at the ungodly hour? You're up so early after. You're such a night owl, man. You were messaging me like just a few hours ago. Green-Eyed Bandit Elixir. An episode or two ago, you spoke about short real estate ETFs like DRV, SRS, REK. How high can these go in event of a housing crash? I have no idea because I don't think they existed the last time we had a housing crash. So, DRV. I think DRV's only been around for a couple of years. Yeah, DRV's only existed since 2009, but it was worth $314,000 a share in 2009. So, that's crazy. Oops, wrong one. I need Google Earth. Go away. So, today, $100, $60. So we're down to 67. 500,000, 3,000, and when it opened, 314,000 a share for DRV. What about SRS? SRS max. SRS has been around since 2007. $8,000 a share, spiked at 26,000, and then steady drop off. Now it's, 16, 17, $20. And REC. REC has been around since 2010, and it was $100 in 2010. Now it's 17. So we got a spike in March 2020 up to 36. So about, double or so what it is now. But for the most part, since the economy's been doing well, it's been going down. So my guess is that these suckers, when it comes time, are going to spike in just absolutely insane ways. Especially if DRV was worth $314,000 a share at one point. That is crazy. Yeah. Hmm. Huh. So, a lot? And they announce like, hey, the entire housing market's collapsed. Those things are just going to go through the roof or something? I don't know. Are they doing like credit default swaps? How are they? Yeah. Hmm. I don't know how they do these things. How they're working them. I'm glad I turned creepy head to the side. Didn't like the tear on the one side anymore. Walt Cheveria, Houston. Can you give an opinion of Barry Bonds? A cheater is in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose, no, the cheater's not. Is Barry in the Hall of Fame? I thought he wasn't been elected. I know Mark McGwire isn't. Sammy Sosa isn't. David Ortiz voted in the Hall of Fame. Go away. No, I don't want to. Leave me alone. Go away. You go away as well. Okay. Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, both in their 10th and final year in the ballot, were not elected to the Hall of Fame. So yeah, Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds not in the Hall of Fame. But I think both those guys, if they hadn't used steroids, would be in the Hall of Fame right now. They put up Hall of Fame numbers, but just the problem is that they like turned 40 years old, started putting up career numbers at times that they didn't. So no, Barry Bonds isn't in there. Pete Rose isn't in there because he bet on baseball, even though he put up ridiculous numbers as well. But yeah, Clemens and Bonds, sounds like they'll never get in. Maybe 30, 40 years down the line, they'll get some sort of like, I'll let you in after you're dead or something. But yeah, Bonds ain't in there. I think they should have a steroid Hall of Fame. Like, these guys put up ridiculous numbers, probably while using steroids. So I have to recognize that they were out competing everybody, but they were doing it cheating. And so they just get little asterisks put on everything that they have at the hall. Dragon PayPal has no more decline, no money return? I don't know what that means. Oh, I got Dobromar from Bulgaria. Hello. Yeah, maybe you knew my former math professor from Bulgaria. Michael Ahero, Houston, if someone was wearing metamaterials AR glasses during an exam, would you suspect them of cheating? That's a good question. I don't know if I would notice that they're wearing those things because I think they look like normal glasses. So, yeah, I haven't thought about these things. So, I would love for AR glasses, like Google Glass is sort of the prototype for these things. The stuff my brother worked on when he was at Intel were really cool. They built these glasses that had a laser inside that would project an image basically into your brain. It would go through your eye and project right onto like the retina. And so wherever you looked, you would still have a heads-up display everywhere. They were pretty crazy. And like Intel spent $1 or $2 billion developing this thing. They released a really crazy YouTube video about how it works, and then Intel just cut the program and fired everybody. And that's how my brother ended up at Metamaterial. There was a supplier for lasers they were using in Switzerland. My brother was like gladly retired. He was like, I'm retired. I'm not looking for work. I'm just going to, remodel this cabin and hang out. And then George called him and was like, hey, this laser supplier said, you're really good at what you do. Come work for me. Brother was like, yeah, no, I don't want to work. I'm kind of happily retired. And he said, well, what would it take? Like, what would you need to like come out of retirement and come work for me? My brother said something I think pretty much ridiculous that he didn't think anyone would accept. And George was like, yes, you now work for me. My brother's like, Durr! I'm retired. But it sounds like he's having fun, so he likes building stuff. That's what makes him happy. So there you go. Monkey butt. You're a good dog. Yes, you are. Kyle Willanders, you should make it better for people for how rough she had it. That's kind of my opinion. Like, you know, when my sister was in her first PhD program, she had a woman who who did her PhD like in the late 60s, and she treated my sister like garbage because she was treated like garbage by all the men in the oceanography departments she worked in. And she was like, well, I had it rough 40 years ago. You are going to have it rough too. Made my sister's life a living hell. So my sister like got her master's degree, quit the PhD program, and transferred to another program. And I'm getting her PhD in something else completely different. So I think like, you know, you have different types of trauma responses, right? You have the like, I went through hell and now I'm going to nurture everybody so that they don't have to experience that. And you have the people who are super bitter about what they went through and they want everybody to understand their pain. Therefore, they should have to go through that stuff too, as if it's, you know, worthwhile. I don't know. Part of me feels like that's a big problem with like the medical system, that we get these residents in there after they've been brutalized in med school. Now they got 4 years of residency before we make them a full-fledged doctor, and then they just abuse them for 4 years. You're gonna work 7 days in a row without any sleep. Like, how are you supposed to learn like that? They won't let pilots do that. Why are you making some baby doctor who's on an hour of sleep in the last 96 hours trying to make life or death decisions for people? Like, no. Work them 8 hours, let them go home, come back the next day, work 8 hours again. How hard is that? There's no reason why you should work them so hard. And then because they take so few residents, there's people who don't get the selection process. So they finished med school, they applied different programs, and they got accepted nowhere for the residency, and they're screwed. They may never get accepted anywhere because the next year when they apply, it will show they got passed over. And so they're taking these few residents, working them too much over this period of time, and they're not retaining anything because they're sleep deprived and they've been abused and whatever. And when you could just work them less and take more residents in there, and you have more doctors doing a great job for people and not being like bitter and abused. We need to just not, we need to have systems that just aren't there to hurt people. You're not Navy SEALs, man. You don't need to like brutalize. You're just trying to learn math or the anatomy or whatever. Like, we don't need to have these abusive systems in place. Lost Waves, thoughts on Eric Weinstein. Eric Weinstein. Oh, he's the guy with Brett Weinstein. The Weinsteins in general, I don't trust them. Like Brett Weinstein, I think, is a complete hack. And Eric does his podcast with him, which probably means he's also a hack as well. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't trust the Weinsteins as far as I can throw them. Kidney index, snurtlert. Don't they grow back? Kidneys? No, I don't think kidneys grow back. Livers do. You can like take half of someone's liver and donate that, and they'll grow into a full liver, and another person will get a full liver as well. So that's what, yeah. Guitar stuff, the rumors about Fed pivot feel like the definition of wishful thinking. They've been wrong at every step. I don't think they're pivoting. I don't think that they can afford to pivot. I think they've got to keep trying to smash the economy so that we'll only have like 2% inflation again. Rendered radical. How does so many shares of Ape get bought back without increase in price? Exactly. Because all the shares that sold for a lot were never reported because they went through dark pools. Where's your son familiar with Canonus? I think they're up your alley. Look them up. I don't know what Canonus is. A music band? Is it a movie? Canonus. All right. Haliex. Houston, what are your thoughts on GTII play that is going on right now with the Kramers? Lou is, I guess, really behind GTII, which maybe just not pay attention to it. It's been doing right. I mean, steady climb. GTII is up to $5 now. They were, where were they? They were down, 70 cents just a few weeks ago. What was their bottom? 62 cents at the beginning of September. Another $5 and something. I mean, this seems like a squeeze to me. Seems like a squeezing. I don't know how much further it's going to go though, because I didn't look into it at all. So, Ed Backwater, Houston, did you know Omar Gaddafi built the longest aqueduct in history, 1,700 miles? No, that is a new fact. So Gaddafi built a 1,700-mile aqueduct. From where to where? Oh, I can't spell Gaddafi. Gaddafi. Aqueduct. 1,700 miles. Rivers are built by the Libyans under the Sahara. Can you give me pictures? Those are Roman aqueducts, not Libyan aqueducts. Oh, that might be a map. Colorado River Aqueduct. Where the hell is that? I don't know what that is. Okay, well, I'll have to look that up later because I can't find a good picture. Get Forged. I feel like every movie since the 80s have lied to me. I grew up thinking the Russian Soviets were super badasses, and between Finland and Ukraine, they just seemed to get wrecked. Yeah, I mean, what the Russians had was they just threw people behind it. Like, they lost, 24 million soldiers to the Germans in World War II? That's a ridiculous amount of people. And then Stalin killed another, 100 million of his people. They just wiped them. They just, throw people at them because they figured they were just going to be people forever. And now that it's a modern society where men aren't living very long because they're drinking themselves to death, and women are looking for hard currency husbands elsewhere, so the population isn't rebuilding like it normally would. Putin's trying the tried and true tradition of throwing people behind a problem, and they don't exist, which is why you're seeing these regiments of just geezers. We're looking at these dudes. They're a sea of gray. All the young guys are breaking their legs or fleeing the country. I saw a hilarious video of a whole bunch of guys in Dagestan wheelchairing themselves down the road because they all broke their foot to avoid conscription. Just a whole pack of them, broken feet. We're just can't conscript us. So yeah. And I don't think there's much cohesion for the Russian people. They may outwardly be like, oh, yay, Putin. But in the end, they're like, I just want to watch TV and, not go to war. Oh, yeah, kick those Ukrainians' butts. But, okay, now it's your turn to go kick your Ukrainian butt. They're like, yeah, I don't do that. I just cheer you on from afar. I'm a fan. I'm not an athlete. And I think that's kind of what they're running into in Russia. Biovich, how old is Monkey Butt? She's looking a bit grayer on the muzzle, but I hope she lives a nice while. Monkey's 7. She's the most bored you'll ever see her is when I do this show. The rest of the time, she's a muscle-bound freak. But she's been gray. She grayed early. I got her at when she was maybe 10 months old. She already had quite a bit of white around her muzzle already. So sugar lips, right? You got a little sugar lips monkey, right? She's like, oh, just let me sleep. It's 11 o'clock at night. You're talking at the wall again. Just let me sleep. Oh, you're just a sweet little dog. Yes, you are. You're just such a good girl. You're such a good girl. Yanni, a cadet friend of mine, got to interview Simo Heha in 2000. That was just a couple years before he died. Are you in Finland as well? Is that why? Yeah. King Louis Googled Simo Heha. A movie called White Death was based on him. Oh, is it Finnish? Simo Heha White Death movie. The White Death. When was this made? White Death storyline based on true events. When were you made? Tell me. Oh, in development. Okay, well, there's one in development, it says here. But David McElroy doing that. And then there was another one. Let's see here. This is 7.4 rating from 2016. Director from Tony Cole. Steve Mills and Tony Cole. Okay. So there's one from 2016. 7.4 rating is pretty decent on IMDb. So it's a short. Okay. It's a short film. So the other one's being made must be a full length one. It's a finished film. Okay. 7 minutes. So it's a 7-minute short film is the one that's out, and then there's one being made right now that is in production. All it has is a director and a writer, nothing else. So it must be very early in production. It's going to be an English language one, so sorry, you Finns. You're going to be hearing a disgusting American pretending they're Finnish. So that it appeals to the American mass market. Okay, all right. So I'll find that short film one. So this is the White Death one that's being produced. And then this is the 7-minute short film. 7 minutes is very short. You pack a lot in there. But, yeah. Brant T. Houston, grandfather passed away a while ago. It turns out he had a brokerage with bank stocks. Aunt is executor, trying to convince her to liquidate and not hold. Got some points to help me convince her. Yes, every single bank is going to die during this during this bear market. Get out. Cash is better than bank stock at this point. Just sell it all and buy puts in the SPY. 10x your money by April. That's what you should do. Tell your aunt to do that. Not financial advice, not financial advisor, but get out while you still can. Because bank stocks, unless it happens to be like the one bank that survives very well, is still going to get hit hard during this bear market. So I would just get out. Get out, man. My aunt had a whole bunch of Wachovia stock she inherited from her aunt when she passed away. And what happened to Wachovia stock in 2008? Wachovia vaporized into nothing. Wells Fargo bought their assets for pennies, and the Wachovia stock was worth nothing. So there was nothing to show for it the last time around. Get out of bank stocks. Trade your bank stocks for puts on the bank. Heck, that'll make more money. Yeah. Don't be in bank stocks for this crash, because the odds are you won't be in the right one. Bobby O Nation, is that what it says? Can my girlfriend Laura Jenkins get a shout out? It's her birthday. Happy birthday, Laura Jenkins. There you go. You can, for $50, happy birthday, Laura Jenkins, up there if you want. It's going to be Go Ask Houston still until somebody else orders a $50 ad for the wall. Ever heard of a little thing called love? No, don't know what that is. Oh, there goes the chat. Okay, we're at 10:56. Brad, be rad. Were you in Real Genius? That's a good movie. It's been a long time since I saw a movie. That's with Iceman, right? Val Kilmer. What was the one where the laser makes all the popcorn? That wasn't Real Genius. That was another one that was like IQ. Was that IQ? Shoot. Both came out at the same time, and I might be confusing them. BOH moment heard 1 milliwatt in blue laser. I actually said, "Oh no," out loud. Luigi Salazari, are we in a simulation? If it is, it's a pretty shitty one. I would like to simulate things better than this. Damn, go compete with Grandpa Barney. Yeah. Grandpa Barney might be in Florida at this point, trying to help put power together. I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, not much going on here right now. We don't have any wind or power lines going down. So maybe Grandpa, you're in Florida, helping out down there. Dan Trujillo, been a while since I checked in. How's your truck doing? It's still dead. Truck is still dead. I took the cash I should have used for the truck, put them into Bed Bath & Beyond, and so there we are. Rest in peace, Coolio. Man, there's so many cool stories about Coolio coming out that I wish I had known about when he was alive. Like, you know, him partying, like meeting people randomly in the street, and then like, yeah, sure, I'll go party with the guys, and like cooking them dinner back at their house and doing a cappella rock concerts, and like just the cool stuff that you would hope your heroes would do. So like, a friend of mine was working in a restaurant in Seattle, and the rapper Common and his entourage came in. She was like their server, and they hit it off. And so like they shut down the restaurant, and Common took them all bowling. They went bowling with Common, like the restaurant workers and cooks and shit. They went and hung out with Common all night and had a great time bowling. Like, that's cool stuff. Paul Rubens, the guy that plays Pee Wee Herman, I saw him in an interview years ago. Might have been like Conan O'Brien or someone. And he was talking about how for the first, 20 years of his career, people would be like, "Oh, Paul Rubens, please meet you. Would you like to come over for dinner or have a barbecue or whatever?" And he was like, "Oh, thank you so much, but no, it's very kind of you to ask." Then one day he's like, "You know what? Fuck it. Yeah, I'll go to your house. Let's have dinner." And he basically said that the last few years of his life, he was having the time of his life meeting all sorts of cool people. Because the people who approach and are like, "Yeah, dude, come over to my house. We're doing a barbecue." He's like, those people put on the best parties you'll ever go to. You will never have a dull moment if you just go, "Yeah, let's do it." Just why not? Right? Like, what are you going to do? Like, go back to your hotel room and watch TV? Or you have someone cook you their favorite meal in the entire world and meet some cool people doing cool shit? I think that's kind of fun. I think that's, why not? Why not? PJ, late to the stream, so this might have been asked. What's your take on the impact of macroeconomics on GME? So much manipulation going on. Macro is kind of the side that I look at mostly. Because GME is so heavily shorted, and the counterbalance to that shorting is assets under management by these hedge funds. If those assets under management are hit really hard, and those short hedge funds didn't hedge properly enough with SPY puts or puts on banks or whatever, they're going to be forced to close positions because they're going to get liquidated. The banks are in such a tenuous position that I don't think they can put up with much more from these guys. Citibank already said that they might not have any money to lend to hedge funds anymore. They just don't have it. It's gone. We got Jamie Dimon complaining about having to come up with $200 billion in cash and collateral to meet collateral requirements. I don't think they have the cash anymore. There was a merger. What was the merger that just got announced that was being called off? It was a tech merger between like Micron and crap. Who sent it to me? I read it just before it came on today. It was from William Morgan. Wall Street banks have canceled $3.9 billion debt sale tied to Apollo Global Management's $7.5 billion deal for the ILEC assets of Lumen Technologies after failing to find enough investor interest, per Axios. So basically, there's a liquidity crunch happening, and the cash isn't there. The good times are over. So the cash isn't there anymore. So a lot of the ability to avoid these margin calls, or at least meet margin when they get margin called and avoid liquidations, has been by gaming the system just a little bit. Selling off Bitcoin here, finding an angel investor there, so on, to save you, taking on a new loan, doing swaps, things like that, that their hands are going to be tied now. And someone is going to trip, fall on their face, and it's going to result in a domino effect across the board. It was very obvious from the report from the SEC about the GameStop, sneeze in January 2021, was that if this thing was allowed to play out, it was going to destroy every single hedge fund in America. That all these brokerages and hedge funds were just going to fall over. And the only way they saved themselves was by turning off the buy button, essentially. And so, we are one little fuck up away from that happening all over again. And there's a juggernaut called a global financial crisis coming that no one's going to be able to manipulate their way out of. It's going to hit everybody. It's going to hit them all so hard, so fast. When these big institutions go under, it's like a day of type thing. The folks at Bear Stearns didn't realize, that they weren't going to exist the next day. They just didn't know. They're like, came into work and they're like, oh, we're going to keep doing our thing. And then all of a sudden they're just putting their shit in a box and going home. They didn't see it coming. So when there's a catastrophic failure in that system, it is just real fast, man. It's real fast. Guitar Stuff, you said, I'm pretty sure the recent Ape 8K confirmed that Ape is not T0. When they filed with the stock exchange, and Adam Aaron, his own tweets said it was T0. And that was the first T0 security. So, yeah, that's weird. Meow meow. Did shorted stocks run up in 2008? Volkswagen. I don't know what other ones were shorted that ran. Short squeezes 2008. Volkswagen. Give me something other than Volkswagen. List. Volkswagen. Volkswagen. All right. I don't know if other ones popped as well. Also, this says Bed Bath & Beyond's at 105% short right now. Holy shit. What's KPRX? KPRX is 642.77% short. 19.3 days to cover. KPRX. NASDAQ. Kiora Pharmaceuticals. $6.15 right now. Huh. 642% short? What the heck? I just got distracted now. Average daily volume, 305,000. Who else is really big? This Tilray? Yeah, they are 61% short, but 25.7 days to cover. Dang. Sorry, got totally distracted. Huh. All right. What's happening? Oh yeah, shortage stocks 2008. I don't know. I'll have to try and see if there's a list out there. Because if I search for it, all I get is Volkswagen over and over and over again. If anyone knows other stocks in 2008 that squeezed, I would love to see it. I don't have time to spend Google searching for everybody right now. Because that's the most boring show you could possibly get. It's me going, oh, that's not right. Nope, that one didn't work. That didn't work either. And doing that for an hour. Daphne, hello. Just finished picking up daughter from work. She's working late. Guitar Stuff, Houston. I admit that I'm preparing myself mentally to watch a lot of our short stocks flash crash before they are forced to cover. Yep. I think so. And if I have any cash available to those flash crashes, that's probably when I'm going to be getting some calls on them. Because, boy, having those suckers drop to like single digits and then getting a call, boom. It could be $100 investment that goes to like $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Andy Schickman has a realistic thesis on how the US dollar goes away as a reserve currency. Crazy stuff. See him explain on J. Martin 82522. Okay. Crypto Chris, you can't add two different stock prices. Talking about the haircut for AMC, even though they're both stock for an AMC company, essentially. I don't know. Daphne, you know, since you have a new Twitter account, Houston, the hot boys and girls haven't found you. Maybe they were following me before? They're like, oh, Houston show, hot boys and girls. Yeah, they haven't been around, have they? Unless we banned all of their different incarnations. Okay. They burn people's retinas. Oi, Houston, you missed Snoopy already? Not in the least, Snurtlert. It is... We are free of hair. Oh my gosh, it is so wonderful. It is so great not having all that hair everywhere. Or that dog yelling at everybody. Like, I realize that I have, like, been conditioned via almost trauma response. The other day, got monkey butt in the car. We're driving to go visit my mom. And I see people on the side of the road with their dogs. And I'm getting ready to be like, shut the fuck up to the big dog because he likes to just yell at everybody. and nothing happens. I'm like, oh, that's right, he's not in the car anymore. But then again, to get to the next like intersection, there's fun with the dog. My heart goes up. I'm like ready to yell at the big dog for screaming at people walking the dog. And he's like the type of dog that like is, you can hear the teeth on the glass as he's trying to get through the window to go murder these people's other dogs. It's bad. And it's so lovely to go for that drive. Oh, and Monkey Butt can go downtown now again. She can go back into town and visit all of her friends who give her treats at all the stores because they don't have that big giant murder machine anymore. We can go visit people, Monkey. How about tomorrow? Do you want to go downtown and go visit people tomorrow? And get milk bones at all the stores? See all your friends you haven't seen in 6 months? Because we've had that giant murder machine with us? Oh, it's going to be wonderful. Absolutely just great. Guitar stuff. Houston, you talk a lot about your GME price targets. What about your AMC 8 price targets? 5 figures? Somewhere in there? I mean, it's going to have to make me interested. We have to go, sell when price is just silly. Nicole Wynn, World War III incoming, Houston? Yeah, very possibly. I don't think it'll last long. Either we'll all get wiped out or just Russia will get wiped out. But like, as it stands right now, Russia facing someone who essentially has like Russian air defenses can't get air supremacy over Ukraine. So what are they going to do? Like now that we've got like the surplus store in Ukraine, they still can't get air supremacy. So what are they going to do when they're facing like 5th generation fighters and, HIMARS from jets? They're just annihilating their air defenses all over the place, and jets that they can't even see, right? The Russians don't have anything stealth. Americans have standard jets they build now are stealth. They're the size of like bumblebees on radar. So they look like noise in the background. There's nothing they're going to be able to do about that. They're screwed. The best they can do is hope that they just blow the whole entire world up with their nuclear bombs. But even then, there's like 9 layers of checks and balances in their command structure for when Putin says launch. There's another guy that tells dude below him launch, and then so on, all the way down for like 9 layers. It's so cheap for the U.S. government to go in and find somebody who's in that command structure and go, hey, here's some millions of dollars and a mansion in the south of France and a yacht. When Putin says launch, you don't launch. And that guy's going to go, duh. Because they know as long as someone says no to launch, then the upper crust, the command structure of the government itself is going to turn on Putin. Because that'll mean he's ineffectual and he can't get it done. So, what were we talking about? World War III? Possibly. Putin's backed into a corner. I talked about this in February. I said, if he's backed into a corner because he's getting his ass kicked, his only option is going to be, if I can't have it, no one can. Boop! And he's a crazy asshole. Crazy assholes are really predictable. They will take you all out with them because only they matter and no one else does. Meow meow. Could they bypass the DTCC and margin calls and run the price up slowly? Maybe if the entire economy wasn't about to collapse. But since the entire economy is about to collapse, I think that takes the tools away from pretty much everyone to like do anything cute and coy. So it probably would have been smart for them to just let this thing be a slow burn on the way up, and people just kind of close out when they can. Because I think now it's going to be Band-Aid ripping time when everything else crashes, and that's what they're going to be sitting on. Daphne, Snoopy was so cute and lovable unless you lived with him. All right, Philip Clayton Houston, a bit late watching the stream and just got to why they didn't include you in the Netflix thing. Just to be grateful you didn't have to learn hypnotics for Netflix documentary. I haven't watched the Netflix documentary yet, so interesting. Do they mention me in there or something? Or just in general, they like swapped out the producers halfway through? Jerry Diamond, Houston, how as? That's all it says. Oh, Canonist heavy metal band. Okay, I'll look them up. Chopper, Houston, I can't get a hold of my friends in China. Word is they are on lockdown again with time limits on cell service. Do you know anything about this? I know nothing about time limits on cell service, although I did hear that one of the big giant cities just went on a huge lockdown from COVID. The only friend I have currently living in China is my friend Coco. She's in Fujian, and I email her on a Yahoo account, so I haven't tried reaching out to her recently. But I think Fujian's fine. Fujian is where they like lined up all those military trucks on the beach a few weeks ago to try to like intimidate Taiwan. But Taiwan's like, "Are you gonna drive here? What's your deal?" And they fired a bunch of like guns towards Taiwan one night, and Taiwan went. Urgh. So. Jerry Diamond, Houston, how was AMC a short squeeze contender after the first 500% dilution? Was AMC ever short 100% at the original 80 million float when the GameStop debacle started? I don't think it was that high. I think they were like 60 or 70% short. And then their price dropped to like $5 after the dilution from the convertible bonds. But I think because a bunch of people were like, stock market news, they jumped in and bought a boatload of it when it was $5 during like February, March, April. And then the hedge funds were like, yeah, I'll sell all these $5 stocks all day long. Fantastic. And then they got hit really hard with that June squeeze. But then, Mudrick got another 11 million shares and so on. And it collapsed really hard. I think that's kind of where it came from. And then no one sold, and so they were short all over again. Oh. Sorry, just reset again. There it was. Okay. People talking about Brewster's Millions. Brewster's Millions is a great movie. Lost Waves, since Ryan Cohen is listening, can tell him we miss him. Ryan, we miss you. It's been 37 days since your last tweet. So get in there, my man. Tell us what's happening. Give us some weird, convoluted clue via emojis for us to try and figure out. People like trying to solve your puzzles. The Toy is one of the best movies as well. The Toy is a brilliant movie. I haven't watched that one in like 30 years. I watched it like 100 times when I was probably 8 years old. We'd go to the video store. Mom was like, what do you want to rent? The Toy. We watched it over and over and over. Mom was like, I haven't seen it since then, though. Citizen 54, why aren't we using more hydrogen cars? Is it a lack of infrastructure, or is the tech hard to develop for mass production? I think a large part of it is the amount of electricity it takes to develop the hydrogen. And we don't yet have mass storage available. We can pressurize a tank, really dangerous, because if the tank cracks, then you have huge explosions. There is a cool system of these weird, like, metal sponge-like tanks that have lots of surface area that when the gas gets pumped in there, they turn it into an ion. So they take away the electron, and then the protons just sort of graft themselves to the side of the tank. And so you can put a whole bunch into this weird... it was years ago. It was when GM developed those crazy hydrogen cars with like a single chassis. So you could like make it a truck or a car or a van or whatever with a single hydrogen based drive-by-wire chassis, and they had invented these really weird tanks that you could crack them and the hydrogen won't let loose. It's only when you like throw a charge back through it do the hydrogen atoms decouple from the tank and then go back and go into the fuel line, and you can combine with oxygen and have a basically internal combustion car with hydrogen. Then they did fuel cell ones as well. Crap, I'll have to remember. This was probably like 2005, maybe, when they were doing that. So the tech exists. The only place, I think only Los Angeles has actual hydrogen fuel stations, because Honda and Toyota were doing experiments with like leases. They leased people cars that ran on hydrogen, and they had built the infrastructure there for them to use that. But yeah. Michael Harrow, Houston, are we headed to the digital dollar CBDC sooner than we thought because of this crash? I mean, everyone thought it was going to happen during COVID, but the infrastructure wasn't in place. I think there's still an experimental phase, and to get the Treasury and the Fed to do anything on a quick scale is pretty hard. But I think we are closer to digital dollar being useful or being used. Although seeing the problems Canada had recently with their networks going down and not being able to purchase stuff because there's no internet communication and not having cash on hand to do that is a huge drawback. We need maybe both an analog and a digital system that can somehow rectify with each other. I think having both is great. I like to be able to go to like a lemonade stand and buy a lemonade for $1 or whatever, or candy bars from people selling things for charity, or go to a garage sale. Like I don't know. It feels weird. Be like, let's just touch our phones together, and then I can buy this thing at a garage sale. It's weird. Project Sun, with current technologies, mining H3 even makes sense. HE3? Helium-3? Well, yeah, because that's the energy source for the next 10,000 years. So yeah, it makes sense. Free stickers for mods. Everyone gets free stickers. You just gotta send me an envelope with a stamp on it. You get yourself a sticker. Tom R. Guten Morgen from Germany. Guten Morgen. Squeeze will be a one-day event. No, I think it's squeezing me longer than that. Well, Chivera, Houston, come barbecue Costa Rican food. All right. You're in Costa Rica? I've been there since I was a kid. I would love to go. You need young Jamie to Google stuff for you. Yeah. You guys in the production office, go work on this stuff for me. Come back with it later. I am way behind the chat, but I'm catching up. I'm now only 11 minutes behind, so we jumped up there. 1-2, Hot Boys and Girls was Kenny trying to keep your eyes off the prize. That almost worked. Oh shoot. Okay. Crypto Chris, tonight and tomorrow, only 2 nights. I get real sleep. Good night, Davney, Houston, Walt, and everybody else. Good night, bud. Have a great night. Project Sun, we haven't had many bots since around the Russian invasion. That's true also. We used to have a lot of Cyrillic accounts show up being really awful and asking for scam sites, and those guys are all gone now. That's nice. That's a good observation there, Project Sun. Javi A. Houston, what do you know about the Toba volcanic eruption that almost killed all mankind, and what are the chances of another similar event? The Toba eruption, well, that was when was the last time Toba erupted? They think it may have been a trigger for an ice age. Toba eruption. It's a mega volcano, super volcano. Toba catastrophe theory, 74,000 years ago. Okay. So Lake Toba is a huge caldera lake in Sumatra? I think it's Sumatra. Yeah, Sumatra. So this is infrared scan of it. So it's a big, giant lake in Sumatra. And it did an eruption that was like 1 to 5,000 cubic kilometers of ash about 74,000 years ago. And kickstarted a possibly 1,000-year-long cooling episode. So basically made an ice age. So how big was it? 3,000 cubic kilometers of ash. So between 2 and 3,000. What's common estimate? 2,800 cubic kilometers. That's a lot. I think the biggest that Yellowstone has done is 1,000 cubic kilometers. So this is 2.8 times the largest supervolcano eruption of that. 12 times greater than the largest volcanic eruption in recent history. Mount Tambora. Mount Tambora is only like 20 kilometers. Cubic ash. Thickness measurements. The Toba caldera complex possibly erupted as much as 13,200 at one time. Holy shit. That would black out the sun pretty much forever. As far as we're concerned. 13,200 cubic kilometers. Okay. I want you to imagine like 13,000 kilometers. Let me find something. Okay. Find something that's similar. Okay. What's a place that is that large? Okay, that's square meters. Give me a place that's about that big. List of states. Okay. Square kilometers. Okay, it's United States. That's I don't want miles. I want kilometers. Sorry, I'm doing. Okay, Texas water area. Something I can compare because my brain can do square miles, but I can't convert the square kilometers in my brain. Why don't you picture how big this would be? There we go. Okay, that's Wyoming. Doesn't help. Picture like Vermont. Let's just throw Vermont out there because why not? Picture Vermont. Now, just a big plain, 13,000 square kilometers. I don't know how big it is. But picture Vermont, and now make a pile of ash that is 1,000 meters tall across the entire state, and then poof, explode that in the atmosphere. My guess is that exploded outwards as a pyroclastic explosion. You're probably looking at an ash cloud that is 1,800 times larger than the condensed version, which is what steam does. So if you have a gallon of water and you turn that gallon of water into steam, it will make a cloud that's 1,800 gallons in size and volume. So looking at 1,800x for the burst of that ash. So now you're looking at a cloud that is 1,800 times larger than the condensed version, which is 13,200 cubic kilometers. So what's the math on that? 13,200 times 1,800. So a 23,760,000 cubic kilometer ash cloud. 23,760,000 cubic kilometer cloud of ash. Holy shit. That's like aerosolizing the entire United States. That is nuts. 23,760,000 cubic kilometer cloud of ash. Yeah, that would just black out the sun. That'd be it. The entire atmosphere would just be ash. That's crazy. That's just okay. Man. Brendan Ellis, Fun Adventure Houston. Thanks for the stream. Always a pleasure for the intellect information. Well, thank you. Thank you. Oh, it's 11:30. It appears my roommate paid me to go watch Last Samurai. So we are going to be doing that. Yeah. Okay. That's it for the night. We'll see everybody Monday afternoon sometime. Monkey Bar and I are going to go to town and go for a walk and see all of our friends because it's been a long time. Mariners are in the playoffs, so woohoo! Just in my head, 16 is the movie. Oh yeah, community movie's coming. And, Joel McHale accidentally tagged Gillian Anderson instead of Gillian Jacobs, and Gillian Anderson says, "I'm in." So fantastic! The community movie is coming. If you guys haven't watched all 6 seasons of Community, go to your Hulu or whatever it happens to be on right now and watch Community. Don't put your phone down and just watch. Seriously, watch that thing and laugh your ass off because it's the best sitcom ever made. Okay. Auf Wiedersehen? No longer good working, but bye-bye. I'll see you guys Monday. Cool? Cool. Monkey Butt, you agree? Cool? Cool. All right.